to kick somebody's ass. I mean, that's why we're here.
That is caught! Left center! Reds win!
And this ball is launched. High and very deep to right, long gone. It's second of the night. Elly De La Cruz.
Short lead for Pena. Larkin drills it. Do you believe this? It's going to be gone! Back to back! Walk-off home runs! How about this? Cameron is back! He's back! He's back!
And a swing and a drive! Deep left field! This one belongs to the Reds!
Swung on and hit deep to left field. That ball is going to be gone! Home run! And the Reds put it tied to score!
Goes to second one. Around to first. Got a double play! And the Reds sweep the Cubs. Breaking ball. Hit high. Hit deep. Way back there. And gone! Into the second deck and left. Christian Encarnacion Strand walks it off.
Archer does it! In his major league debut! He gets the final 3 outs, and the Reds get an extra inning win. A thriller 5-4.
Swung on, fly ball, hit the deep right field. That ball is gonna be gone. A grand slam home run by Mike Cameron.
2 outs, 2 on. Reds down by 1. Larkin down the line. It's a winning. It's a winning. Here comes Tucker. Here comes Steins. Larkin's won the game. Barry Larkin gets mobbed. Look at this scene. It's synergy.
The stretch, the pause and the pitch. And a line drive, base hit left center field. A single for Aaron Boone. And this one belongs to the Reds. The Reds have won 8 in a row.
Kobayashi with a long look turns it loose and Dunn hits it to deep right. It's all over. And this one belongs to the Reds. The Reds have won their 5th game in a row. They've defeated the Cleveland Indians on an Adam Dunn 3-run home run, 4-2. In on the corners at first and third. 2 on, nobody out. Here's Royce Ring pitching, no bunt. Ground ball by the third baseman into left field. Jay Bruce rounds third. And this one belongs to the Reds.
That's it pretty good. Guess what? He doesn't need speed. That's gone. He's the king of the Queen City tonight.
With 1 out here in the 11th inning, you sure got to go now.
1 out, pull down the left field line. That ball is going to get the winning run in. Here comes Jay Bruce rounding third, heading toward the plate. And this one belongs to the Reds.
Huge situation for Votto. Why you paying the big bucks to deliver the goods with 2 outs in the 9th inning? Can he do it? In the gap, right center field, and Votto delivers the goods.
Hit deep center field. Hank Hill going back at the warning track. Oh, he gets one. It's gone. Joey Votto is delivered.
Hello and welcome to the Chatterbox Reds pregame show. Today is September 8th, 2025. The Reds take on the San Diego Padres. Today I am joined by Austin Layton. Austin, how you doing today?
Good, man, Ricky. Good to be back with you. Reds are still clinging on to life here in the playoff race, I guess. So we'll continue to be excited about them. But no, excited for a good show.
Yeah, the Reds are coming off of a series win versus the New York Mets. I think we all felt like all hope was lost after Friday. That loss kind of stung a little bit. It felt really deflating. What was your takeaways from Friday's game in particular and then the series?
Yeah, Friday I actually went to the game, so that was deflating at the end, to say the least. And I mean, really, looking back on the whole series, like they had bases loaded in the 9th, and a situation where you'd obviously like to see them score at least a run with no outs. But I mean, that's how close they were to honestly sweeping the series. And I don't know, necessarily if the rest of the series would have gone the same way had they won game 1 like that. But it just shows you, man, like they were at least competitive with the Mets, which is good to see. Would have been nice to win, 3 out of 3 instead of 2 out of 3. A sweep was kind of wishful thinking, but it's the difference between basically being 4 games out now, and if they had won Friday, it would be 2 games out in the wild card at least. So I don't know, man. It's tough being 4 out, still kind of playing for every game matters. But I think if you're the Reds, you're at least going to be happy with winning the series. I mean, if we'd lost the series, it'd be a totally different story. Yeah. At least you get 2 out of 3. At least you didn't get swept or something like that. So I don't know. I'm coming out of it like somewhat optimistic. I think the Reds really didn't do themselves any favors the series before with the Blue Jays. If they would have at least made up some ground there and going into the Mets series and then got 2 out of 3, it'd probably be a different story. But I don't know. I'm glad that they're still technically alive. They somewhat control their own destiny, playing a lot of good teams in front of them these last couple of weeks. But I know it's going to take a lot, so that's the frustrating part. But what are your thoughts on where they're at?
Yeah, I mean it's rough. Like you said, you really wish you could have swept. It was a really important series, but taking the series is a step in the right direction. I think us Cincinnati fans of any sport are used to hearing "step in the right direction." But they do win 6-3 on Saturday on Christian Encarnacion Strand bobblehead day, and Hunter Green just dominated yesterday. So it was a really good sign to see Green pitching that way. We feel really confident about Green going through the end of the season, and then potentially, if we dare we say, playoff run. But let's get to today's series. San Diego Padres. They're just one game behind the Dodgers for first place in the NL West. They haven't won the NL West since 2006. That's how good the NL West has been between the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks. But yeah, they're 4-10 in their last 14 games. They've been really streaky this year. They've had some weird runs. They won 6 straight from July 6th to August 1st, and then they won 5 straight from August 9th to August 12th. But then they lost 4 straight from the 13th to the 18th of August. But then they won 5 straight again from the August 19th to the 23rd. And then they lost 9 of 11 from August 24th through September 5th. So they've been streaky for a team that went all in at the trade deadline. What are your expectations going in today? We got Nick Lodolo taking on Yu Darvish. Yu Darvish has been a workhorse. He's been, I think this is his 13th year in baseball. Like, he's been a pretty solid pitcher his whole career. He's got like 7 pitches. What are you expecting to see between these two pitchers today?
Yeah, it's kind of like, I think the names at least make it seem like it would be a pretty crazy good matchup. But then you look at the stats for Darvish. I mean, I was looking at his stats this year: 5.75 ERA, which is not, I guess, probably what we're used to, obviously, out of him. I think for whatever reason he does seem to face the Reds a lot, and we'll try to keep up some success there. But his last outing was actually similar to Lodolo's. They both had losses in their last starts. Both went 4. Well, Darvish went 4, Lodolo went 4 2/3, but both gave up 3 and 4 runs. So they're both coming off kind of tough, shorter outings where they're going to be trying to rebound on it, and I think that's going to be kind of a key to it. You were kind of going through the ups and downs of how the Padres have been all year. And something that really stuck out to me too is their offense. Like, you see the guys in this lineup and you think that they would just be raking the ball, like crazy good offense. Apparently they got some similar problems that us Reds fans know about. They're actually second fewest home runs in Major League Baseball and actually bottom 10 in runs scored. So I think that probably leads to some of their inconsistency, at least. And we know all about that with those stats as well, unfortunately. But so I don't know. I think at first glance, I think Lodolo could have a pretty good bounce back game for himself off of that last outing, and then Darvish, I mean, I think is overall having I wouldn't say a great year, but so I think I saw the over under on this game is about 7.5 runs. I could see it maybe being about that range or even a little bit lower, but I think it's going to be a matchup of kind of whose offense can get hot tonight. But that's kind of where I'm sitting at.
Yeah. Starting pitcher for the Reds, Nick Lodolo. Funny enough, the Padres have been really good against right-handed pitching. They're 56 and 43. They're just 22 and 22 versus left-handed pitching, but they've been really good at home. Also, they're 43 and 25 at home, 35 and 40 on the road. So something's got to give. They got a lefty on the mound and they're at home, so they got to pick which one they're going to be good at today. Hopefully, it's the left-handed pitching, so we can stick it to them. But let's talk a little bit about the Reds lineup. Is there anything here that sticks out to you?
No, it's honestly, I guess, pretty similar to what Reds fans have seen for a lot of the season. Obviously, we didn't have Brian Hayes all year, but that's kind of where he's been in the lineup. I would have liked to maybe seen Sal Stewart in this game, just as kind of riding that streak. Obviously, had the home run over the weekend, so I don't know. I mean, I don't hate this lineup, but at the same time, I'd maybe put in Stewart. I'd like to see it. Hopefully, Will Benson comes off the bench a little bit today, just to kind of provide a little spark there too, because it seems like we just never see him for whatever reason. But I mean, this is pretty much what we're going to get, I think, with the Reds lineup. I don't think, people that want, Elly De La Cruz to move up or down the lineup, I just don't think it's going to happen at this point in the
Yeah.
year. So this is kind of, it's what we got. But no, I think it's going to be good. I think, honestly, if we can get McLean going hot, it seems like the past couple weeks he's kind of found some hitting in his bat too. So let's keep it going, man. But anything on your side that you saw?
Yeah, Matt McLean, he's batting 400 with the 538 on base and an 800 slug in his last 7 games. Like, he has been great. And then take it even further, over his last 15, batting 317, 417, 585. So maybe, just maybe, Matt McLean's back. Maybe it just took a little longer than what people expected with the
It
shoulder
took Sal
surgery.
Stewart coming up.
Yeah, it took Sal Stewart threatening his job for him to get hot, I guess. But apparently it wouldn't have mattered anyway. He's not even playing. But yeah, Spencer Steer at first base. I guess with Ke'Bryan Hayes at third, I just don't see a world where you move him off of third just because of how good he is defensively. And he's actually been a pleasant surprise offensively. So you would like the easiest option would be if you're going to play Sal Stewart, play him at first base or DH. Just you got to get him in the lineup. I've said it before, and I'm not comparing him to Jose Barrero, but they did the same thing with Jose Barrero when they brought him up. He was a shortstop. They brought him up. Kyle Farmer blocked him, and maybe, just maybe, his career goes a little differently if he gets a little bit more development. And they say Major League Baseball isn't the place for development. Well, you still got to learn on the job too. And he was young. He was like 22 or 23. So I just don't want to see that happen to Sal Stewart with him being such a promising player for this team in the future. So, like Alex says in the chat, Sal will be fine. I believe that 100%. I don't want him to get cold. Like something happens injury wise, he comes in and he's cold. It's like, what's the point of having him on the team if he's not playing? That's just my point of view.
Yeah, and looking at even the guys that we have on this team, not a whole lot of at bats other than Luck's kind of lifetime against Darvish, which is interesting just with how long he's been in the league. But really nobody super hot. Ke'Bryan Hayes, 3 at bats, he's batting 333, is the highest at least average outside of Will Benson, is 1 for 2. But so I don't know. It's going to be kind of an interesting matchup. You would think these guys had faced him more, but really not, and not a whole lot of success outside of 1 or 2 at bats. It looks like for some of these guys. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I think kind of the keys to the game at least are going to be if we can kind of take advantage of some 1 or 2 runs that are going to be the difference. I don't think it's going to be a blowout game by any means, or if everybody's getting hot. I'm glad to take that. I hope I'm wrong, but I just I don't know. I don't see this offense at least putting up more than probably 3 or 4.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the Padres lineup. They got Fernando Tatis leading off, Luis Arraez at first base, batting second, Manny Machado at third base, batting third, Gavin Sheets at DH, Ramon Laureano at left field, Jackson Merrill at center field, Jose Iglesias at shortstop, former Red, Jake Cronenworth second base, and Freddie Fermin at catcher with Yu Darvish pitching. Very right-handed heavy lineup, but it's also split pretty well. So I guess they do have the preparation for the bullpen coming in. And I think Machado has pretty decent splits versus lefties and righties, but he's the one that I'm kind of keying on. He's just a dangerous hitter. He does have a home run against Lodolo. So anything here stand out to you?
The only other guy I was going to highlight too is Gavin Sheets. Over the course of his career, at least against Lodolo, batting 333, 6 at bats. So another guy that maybe seen him decently well in kind of limited action, but that's kind of that middle of the lineup type of guy right behind Machado, obviously. So if they if they pitch around Machado and get the Sheets, maybe that'll be something that comes back to bite him. But yeah, I mean, it's just weird because you look at this lineup, even kind of top to bottom, and obviously Reds fans know Jose Iglesias and Cronenworth and some of these guys too. It's like you just think that this would be a lot more of an offensively potent lineup than what it is, and hopefully I don't figure it out tonight. But it's just you see lineups like this, and it's a lot more exciting than when you look at the Reds lineup, at least.
Yeah, active Padres versus Lodolo are 9 for 45. That's a 200 average. Manny Machado's 2 for 8 with the home run, like I said earlier. Cronenworth 0 for 8. Tatis Jr. is 1 for 6. Gavin Sheets 2 for 6. Luis Ariz 1 for 2 with a double. Laureano's 1 for 3, and Jackson Merrill's 0 for 2. And then active Reds versus Darvish are 7 for 33. As a 212 average, 520 OPS, no home runs. Gavin Lux is 4 for 19. Former Dodger, played him a little bit more with San Diego. And then no one else has more than 3 at-bats. Like you said earlier, Benson 1 for 2, Ke'Bryan Hayes 1 for 3. And then Brent Suter, funny enough, 1 for 2. Hopefully we don't have to see that, but it'd be an interesting thing to happen. Let's talk a little bit about the bullpen here. We didn't get the day off with the travel, so we are going back-to-back, especially on a trip coming from Cincinnati to San Diego. Yesterday, Hunter Green threw 7 solid innings, so we only had to use 2 relievers yesterday, and they gave Pagan the day off, so he didn't pitch 3 in a row. So Tony Santillan got the save. Nick Martinez only threw 7 pitches. Bullpen should be pretty well rested. The only pitchers that pitched on Saturday were Santillan, Pagan, and Barlow. And then on Friday, Nick Martinez threw 31 pitches, Pagan pitched, and then Connor Phillips pitched. So any expectations from the bullpen tonight that you see maybe kind of gives you good vibes or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only guy that I would say they'd probably tried not to use is Santillan, just with him being the guy that, him and Martinez are the only guys that pitched yesterday, and Martinez only pitched 7 pitches. But then, Santillan pitched the day before as well. So he coming off back-to-back days, kind of a longer outing yesterday. I think they'd probably try to not use him. So if they get in like that kind of 8th inning, couple runs where he'd probably be your setup guy, they might have to go to somebody else in that scenario, but that'll be kind of an interesting thing to see if they go with somebody like Barlow, depending on the situation. But yeah, to your point, I mean, we had such a good outing with Green, it kind of saved almost the entire bullpen, and I'm sure somebody like Martinez is going to be fine to pitch again if they asked him to. So you come in pretty fresh, honestly, I think. So that's obviously a good sign. Hopefully, Lodolo goes deeper in the game, and maybe we don't need to use too many guys, right? So that last inning, like I think I said, he's 4 innings, something like that. So if he can at least give you 5 or 6 innings, I think that'll be kind of a sweet spot for him, and you'd have to be feeling pretty good about that, kind of regardless of where the game is at that point.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I've been kind of surprised with Connor Phillips lately. I think he's found a nice role in the bullpen. He had some shaky moments over his career, especially as a starter, that infamous game versus St. Louis in 2023. But he did have a pretty good start in 2023 also, where he had like 7 or 8 strikeouts. He's got the stuff. He's got the stuff to be an elite reliever if he can just figure out the command. And then Zach Maxwell still on the team. Hasn't pitched since Wednesday. There's probably a good chance we see Big Sugar today. And then Yasver Zulueta, I think he's kind of more of like the if the game's out of hand, you just
in case of emergency.
Yeah, let him just blow up his ERA.
Let's hope we don't see that. But no, I mean, it's good. It's a good problem to have, right? Because if for whatever reason, I don't know, knock on wood, Lodolo gets like a blister or something, you got to go to something like that. That's kind of where it'd be, but see what happens.
Yeah, I'm looking at the weather in San Diego today. It's 76 degrees. The wind's blowing in pretty strong from left field to home plate, so it's gonna be hard to hit anything out, especially with our lineup. And funny enough, their lineup too. They're not a big power lineup. Let's take a look around baseball. Would be the NL Central, but we are far out of that race. Last I'm seeing, we are 4 games out of a playoff spot at the moment, and we have the Mets trail the Phillies 1-0 at the end of the 7th inning. The Cubs are trailing the Braves 3-0 in the bottom of the 7th, and the Brewers are scoreless versus the Rangers. And then as far as what really affects us the most, the Giants play the Diamondbacks. Those two need to battle it out because they are right there with us. And the Dodgers take on the Rockies at home. So that's going to be, depending on what happens with us in San Diego, that's going to be pivotal between who gets that division title as well. Anything you want to talk about with those matchups?
Yeah, I mean, going back to the kind of the last couple of weeks that the Reds have had, they kind of let teams like the Giants and Diamondbacks catch up to them, and even the Cardinals to some extent. But yeah, and then the frustrating thing too, the Giants and the D-backs playing each other. It's nice because one team will lose, but one team's also going to win, so you're not really going to gain too much ground off of those guys. It would be nice to see the Mets kind of struggle in their series, at least playing the Phillies. You think that could happen. So losing here in the seventh, 1-0, still a very close game. But I don't know, man. You just got to take it day by day. I think if you're the Reds at this point, you just got to try to win. Obviously as many games as you can, but you're going to have to get some help at least with this kind of log jam that they're in now in the standings. And some of these series will work themselves out. The Diamondbacks and Giants aren't going to always be playing each other, but it just stinks because they are. So at least one of those teams is going to keep winning. So if we don't win, we're going to lose ground on those guys too, which is tough. But big series coming up. You're right. I mean, they play the Cubs down the stretch too. So I think, I think I said it earlier, it's a good position to be in, kind of controlling your destiny a little bit. But just with the season, man, it's like every time that we think that they have kind of that opportunity to make that statement series, it's not as great as we had hoped. So they're still in it though. So 19 games left. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, and I guess one positive thing to look at is we do hold the tiebreaker over the Mets, and we do hold the tiebreaker over the Padres this season. So if we can get if we win the series versus the Padres, we would hold the tiebreaker over them. So that's a plus. I mean, still you want to control your own destiny and you want to go out there and win games, but I mean, you can't rely on help at this point. You need to go out there and get sweeps, at least 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4 sweeps. It's just, it sucks, man, because you look back at August, when you get back to, half a game back with how bad the Mets were. I think the Mets were 11-17 in August, and they were 14-11 in July. So they weren't, exactly setting the world on fire those last 2 months. And we just couldn't capitalize. I mean, I think us, the Reds and the Giants were the two teams that were the closest wild card wise. It's just the team hasn't gotten hot. Like they've had their first cold streak of the season. They had their first 5-game losing streak. They got swept by the Dodgers 2 out of 3 versus the Blue Jays. And you need to get hot, and you need to get hot now. And if you look at it too, like if you get hot now, and if you can sneak into the playoffs, you can get hot at the right time and maybe catch lightning in a bottle. But you needed to get hot then too, just so you could get into the race. So it's a difficult situation they're finding themselves in right now, and it's just I don't know what the biggest issue is. It's just the lack of power. The defense has been pretty subpar here lately too, and when we do have offense, like we did versus the Blue Jays, you had 2 back-to-back games where you score 9 runs in the bullpen, and the pitching just blows it up. So it's just like you can't catch a break, and you just can't get hot for whatever reason.
Yeah, and to your point, it would be nice to get hot at the end of the year and into the playoffs, but it would also be nice if we could prove earlier in the year that we actually can get hot and put it all together, right? But yeah, I mean, it's a frustrating thing because I think as a whole in this season, you look at the pitching for the Reds. I mean, it's been pretty awesome. This is a crazy good year for Hunter Green, obviously, but then even Lodolo has been, pretty healthy. I mean, relatively speaking, for most of the year. So big year out of him. Obviously, Abbott's had a pretty good year. Some flashes here and there of some bad starts, but I mean, overall, you can't complain really with what the rotation has given you for the Reds, and even the bullpen to some extent has been, better than historical Reds bullpen. So if they could at least get some, offense put together, people on here have probably heard everybody on here talk about, just the guys that have underperformed, whether it be Steer, McLean, guys like that. So if they can at least, get those guys kind of hitting hot at the end of the year, this is going to be when they need it, obviously. But I think, if you can plug some guys like Sal Stewart, Will Benson, come off the bench, give you some good at bats, like it's a position that you don't want to be in, of like just hoping that these guys do well, but it's at least a situation where, these guys could do it. And if the pitching at least stays consistent, they got a chance to be in mostly every game that they can, play for the rest of the year, I think. And the cool part of it, at least, is some of these series, outside of, like, for whatever reason, whenever we play the Brewers, like, it never goes well. But when we play like the good teams, we at least are remaining competitive. I know we got swept by the Dodgers, but look at the series against the Mets. I mean, nobody's going to argue that their payroll is isn't way bigger than ours, and we won 2 out of 3. So these guys can do it, man. They can put some good ball together, but just over a course of 162 games in a year, it's you're bound to see some inconsistencies, and that's just been kind of the story of the year for the Reds, though.
Yeah, well, I got some bad news about the Brewers. They're our final series of the year, so hopefully we can get something done before that series. Before we get further, thanks everybody for watching the show. Like the stream, we really appreciate it. We get to do this. It's a lot of fun. We take time out of our day to talk to you guys and give you guys our insight on the team. And I don't know everything. Austin doesn't know everything, or maybe he does, and I just suck at it. But it's a lot of fun, and we really appreciate you guys. And subscribe to Chatterbox Sports. Off the Bench was back today. That was cool to see. It's a good show, and it's cool to see Trace and Reed, that dynamic, hosting the show together. So it's a lot of it's a cool show, and I'm really glad it's back. You guys in the chat, if you guys want to drop some score predictions, we'll cover a little what to watch for. Drop your scores in the chat. I'll highlight them as we go. Austin, we have that you want to keep the key on for the Reds to get the win tonight?
I think if I had to pick somebody out of the Reds lineup, I'd go with Gavin Lux, just the way he's seen the ball against Darvish in the past. I think he's a candidate to kind of have that breakout game, whether it be a couple hits. I'd like to see him run into a home run. I just don't know if we'll see that out of Lux, unfortunately, but I could see him going, 2 for 4 kind of night, maybe a couple RBIs in there. So that's kind of my pick to click, I guess. But nah, man, I think just looking for a good game all around. Like I said, I think the over under of like 7.5 runs, I think, is pretty accurate. I think I could see the Reds winning this one 4-3, 4-2 kind of range anyway. So that would kind of be where I'm looking at this one. But I don't know. Do you have a key player you're looking at, or even a score prediction at this point too?
I have a couple little fun stats as far as like random nuggets. TJ Friedel has recorded at least one single in each of his last 10 games with the Reds as the road underdog. So that's interesting. So maybe he'll get a leadoff hit and then he won't come around to score. But Spencer Steer has at least one hit in each of his last 9 games versus the Padres. So he'll drive him in. But yeah, as far as the score goes, I don't know. I kind of feel like Yu Darvish is kind of due for a blow-up game with that high ERA. Maybe we can kind of get to him. Maybe Elly gets hot finally and maybe puts up 2 or 3 hits. Maybe gets a home run down the line.
That'd be nice.
It'd be nice to see. But I think I'd like to see us really get to Darvish, get to their bullpen, and then maybe we could get 6 or 7 runs, and then Lolo kind of holds them to 2 or 3. So I will go with 7-3 Reds with my score.
I'll take it.
We got Optimistic John, 6-3 Reds. I like it. I like it a lot. WTI Trader, lose 2 out of 3 to the Padres. Come on. I have a little bit of faith in the team. No other scores in there right now, but yeah, like I said,
Reds podcast in there. Reds always do weird stuff on the West Coast road trips. Usually weird stuff happens to them, so we'll see.
Yeah, shout out Roger. Yeah, I mean it is funny. Anything can happen. I think that I think it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a very important series. I think this probably might be, other than probably the final series of the season versus Milwaukee, this probably might be the most important series of the season right now, just because you're facing a team in a wild card spot, and they are a game behind the Dodgers. So I kind of feel like the Dodgers probably take 2 out of 3 or sweep the Rockies. So if we can gain some ground on the Padres and in turn gain some ground on the Mets, I'll check the Mets score real quick while we're live.
Yeah, still down 1-0 in the 8th. It looks like
Nice. We really need the Phillies to take care of business. I think I just saw that they lost 2 key players to injury. So I'm gonna need them to take care of business. We really need some help out there too. We need the Mets to lose. We're gonna need the Giants and the Diamondbacks to really duke it out. Maybe, knock on wood, some things happen. It's and funny enough, it is funny that the Diamondbacks sell like all of their key players. They get hot, kind of like the Tigers last year. Not as big of a run, but it is funny. Just, Suarez really carried that team offensively, and they could trade him, and then it seems like everyone else just started to pick it up. So, thanks again, everybody in the chat for hanging out with us. Like the stream again. I think it's Nick and Trace tonight on the post-game show. It's going to be a late one. So all the real OGs going to be in the chat tonight with them guys. So, Austin, if you don't have anything else, why don't you hit us with the Go Reds, and we will get out of here.
Hey, let's go Reds.
Go Reds.